Good morning, folks. Sorry. No tap tap right now because I want to read a story to you. And then, well, while I'm reading it, I'm going to be giving you some commentary on it. So the first link in the description is to a poll that asks the question, how do you feel about Memorial University dropping the Ode to Newfoundland at their convocation ceremonies? Now, that question does not give a lot of context. Oh, I need to shift my camera angle just a little. There we go. That question doesn't give a lot of context, but here's my problem. Memorial University of Newfoundland has been in existence since 1925, if not earlier. We were not part of Canada. We were not called Newfoundland and Labrador. We were the colony or the dominion of Newfoundland at the time. So I'll just read this story. It's from VOCM. That's the local, one of the local radio networks, or stations rather, provincial. And VOCM stands for the Voice of the Common Man. Ironically, it's, as far as I recall, the only station in Canada that has a VO prefix, because it used to be part of the British system, or took the letters from the British system, as I recall. Not 100% sure on that. Might be an interesting piece for another Terra Nova Tuesday. In any case, Memorial University has dropped the Ode to Newfoundland at its convocation ceremonies due to it not referencing Labrador, and that has sparked a conversation about whether lyrical changes should be made to the province's anthem. Woke. The entire reason the province of Newfoundland started being referred to as the province of Newfoundland and Labrador was wokeness. We need to be more inclusive. Back when this happened, I was on the train. I agreed. I thought it was a perfectly acceptable thing to do. But then I was born in Labrador. That said, fuck off. We need to start putting a halt to the disregard of tradition, of history, that this long march through the institutions has damn near succeeded at. It's a change that seems so acceptable, so minor, that no one really pushes back against it. And we tend to disregard the opinion of those who do as backward. Do you not know what conservative means? Anyway, moving along. When asked about whether government will consider changes to the Ode, Tourism, Culture, Arts and Recreation Minister Steve Crocker, I love how, by the way, they make these massive titles for these departments, so it sounds like they do more than one thing. Tourism, Culture, Arts and Recreation. It's tourism. It could be tourism and recreation. It could be heritage. It could be any number of other things that they title it with one word. But they add multiple words so it looks like they're doing multiple jobs. Problem is, they're not. We have the largest provincial government in Canada, per capita. We have one of the smallest populations in Canada. So more of our provincial tax dollars go to supporting our government than almost any other province in the country. Yeah. And then we wonder why Newfoundland is in a hard state. Okay. In any case, the minister for all that shit says, Steve Crocker, says those conversations have not been had, talking about whether or not there should be changes to the anthem. And he was disappointed to learn that MUN had decided to move away from the anthem. Yeah, because they're disregarding Newfoundland heritage in the name of inclusion, or as Gad Saad refers to it, and I've kind of picked that up from him, diversity, inclusion, and equity. DIE, or DIE for short. NDP, socialist, leader Jim Din indicates that he is open to looking at ways to make the song inclusive. Well, of course you are. You're a goddamn commie. He says he likes the ode. Of course he does. It's a beautiful song, and we've all grown up hearing it. But perhaps this is an opportunity to update the language a bit to make it more inclusive without changing the meaning behind it. Look, Jim, fuck off. Have you seen the clusterfuck that is the Canadian national anthem lately? It's had 3 changes since I was a kid. I don't remember the words to my own national anthem because they've been changed so many times. Whereas I could almost sing the Ode to Newfoundland by heart at this point. The Ode to the O Canada, I might get through 2 lines of it and still have it right. When I was a kid, it was, O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all thy sons' command. That was the first 4 or 2. I'm not sure how they break up the stanzas anymore. Or the verses, rather. Sorry. Stanzas is a poetry thing. Something else I have to do today. But I'm pretty sure that that has been changed, so it's no longer in all thy sons' command. At the very least, I know that was a point of contention at one point. And I still remember the mnemonic they used to teach us the French version, which I assume has also been changed. And if it hasn't, somebody needs to tell the French good job, which is a rare thing. But they need to tell the French good job and point at the Canadians, the rest of the Canadians, and go, what the fuck? But the mnemonic that they used to teach us, the French version, it's kind of hilarious, really. Let me see. Oh, Canada, le terre de nos aïeux. Which, if I remember right, we used the mnemonic, Oh, Canada, I'll tear the nose off you. But that very well may have not been a mnemonic. That may just be a high school thing that I remember because it was funny. And there I go, blowing up my chroma again. So the progressive, sorry, let me give a little clarity. The current government in the province is liberal. Yes, Trudeau-flavored liberal. The NDP is the New Democratic Party. Federally and provincially, they're communist. Socialist. Let's be honest. The PCs are the Progressive Conservatives. Now, this is not the same as the Federal Conservative Party. About 20 years ago, give or take, the federal provincial Conservatives lost an election brutally. This would be at the end of Mulrooney's tenure. And, well, that might be even a little bit more than that. It may be before the turn of the millennium. In any case, the Conservatives were dealt a very, very sharp blow, going from being, in short order, going from being the governing party to the loyal opposition with a near majority, and then down to, I think it was 2 or 3 seats. About this time, the Reform Party had started out in the prairies, and eventually those 2 parties, the Reform and the Progressive Conservatives, kind of melded together and became the the Conservative Party of Canada, which is what we have now. When we say Conservatives or we say Tories now, that's the party nationally that we're talking about, is the Conservative Party of Canada. The first prime minister elected by them, I believe, was Stephen Harper. If you guys are following current politics, Pierre Poilievre is now the leader of that party. But the progressive conservatives had luminaries like John Crosby, Brian Peckford. Yeah, these are a couple of names. Well, Brian Peckford should be familiar to you guys because I was talking recently about the challenge to the vaccine travel mandate here in Canada. That lawsuit that was dismissed or ruled moot. I won't start on that again. In any case, the PC leader, Barry Petton, gives a simple answer to deal with the issue. Just add Labrador to the ode, he says. And notes that Labrador has its own ode that could be sung as well. Labrador is not a sovereign jurisdiction. It's not separate from Newfoundland. We tried to sell that fucking thing to Canada once. Canada said, no, we're not interested. And it's a funny thing, because they're awfully interested now. Hydroelectric, minerals, yeah, oil, yeah. Meanwhile, a descendant of the man responsible for writing the ode to Newfoundland is criticizing Memorial University's decision to omit the ode from its convocation ceremony. For those of you who don't know, Memorial University of Newfoundland is the province's university. It was set up under the government in 1925. I believe the reason it's called Memorial University is that there was a massive donation given as a means to honor Newfoundland's service in the First World War. It may have been from the British government. I'm not 100% sure. I suspect it was. And the reason I'm not 100% sure isn't because nobody knows. It's because I've forgotten some of this research. Michael Boyle, owner and operator of Boyle Tours and a descendant of Sir Cavendish Boyle, who composed the song in 1902, calls the decision, God love the man, harebrained. He chalks the decision up as an empty gesture, as more impactful changes will cost more money. He calls it a fallback position, as changing the school name to include Labrador will cost around $100 million and have to go through the House of Assembly. He says if the school wants to be truly inclusive, they should be on the ground in Labrador communities and offering classes teaching various Indigenous languages. Yeah. Mr. Boyle, I would like to congratulate you on pointing out to the woke how they're not actually inclusive. Boyle says we shouldn't revise history. He says it's an anthem that is truly unique and it's a part of the province's culture that has endured. He is absolutely 155% right. Actually, he's 112% right. And if those of you who happen to be from Newfoundland know what a quintal is, there you go. So, all of that was preamble. Well, not really preamble. I was commentating the whole time. But, hi, Christopher. Yeah, I'm kind of choked about this one. But the biggest problem I have with this is that it is denigrating the past. It is ignoring so much of our history. Yes, the province is now called Newfoundland and Labrador. That doesn't necessarily need to be amended, fixed, put back. None of that. That's a change that's been done, and fine. I understand. That said, that by itself was a costly virtue signal. As Mr. Boyle said, they're looking at changing the name of Memorial University of Newfoundland to Memorial University of Newfoundland and Labrador, which will take it from being MUN, MUN, to MUNL, MUN. They're not going to start calling it Munnel. So, if the change is only superficial, and just done as a means of saying, look at me, look at how wonderful I am, look at how virtuous and kind and loving and caring. No, it's bullshit. It's a falsehood. It's a facade, a mask of kindness, masking a waste of government money. Let me point something out to you. When someone says government money, they are actually talking about taxpayer money. Money that could be in your pocket. Now, as much as I hate money and wish we didn't need to use it, by the way, that doesn't mean I'd rather we went to a cashless economy or somehow found a way to live in community where we all bartered for... No, not a communist either. I am a staunch capitalist. I want to make money. But when they call conservatives the party of the rich, what they don't understand is that's a good thing. Doesn't mean they favor the rich. It means they want to create more rich. I'm okay with that. But just to keep it on the Newfoundland heritage side of this, because it is Terra Nova Tuesday. And the name Boyle actually did remind me of this particular anecdote. And I'll leave you guys with this because I am getting a little long, and I risk rambling if I go any further. But when one of the governors of Newfoundland, this would have been for the British government back when we were a crown colony, when asked for her opinion of Newfoundlanders, the wife of the current governor, it may have been the wife of Cavendish Boyle, I'm not 100% sure. This is, again, one of these things that kind of floats in my consciousness, or floats in my memory, doesn't necessarily have solid stick. So the individuals involved, I don't remember, but the quotations I almost always remember perfectly. But when asked for her opinion of the people of Newfoundland, this lady, the wife of the current governor, trying to be denigrating, mind you, trying to cast shade on our people as backward savages, or whatever the hell they wanted to call us. She said, "You'll be able to recognize the Newfoundlanders in heaven because they'll be the ones who want to go home." Now, clearly she was not a fan of living in Newfoundland. Can't say I blame her. It's not a comfortable place to live in. But if you've ever met a Newfoundlander anywhere away from Newfoundland, one of the first things they will tell you is how much they miss home. Or one of the things that will come up in conversation almost every time, almost in every case of every Newfoundlander, is how much they miss home. And they will happily talk about home. Sometimes ad nauseum. In any case, folks, I hope this has been somewhat enriching. I hope you're having a good day. I hope you continue to have good days. And rise again. Oh, sorry. I'm terrible at this. Bezic, I expect you to start bullying me over this. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. There is a subscribe star link. Check out my other socials. Links will be in the description. Tomorrow's video will be a poetry read, of course. It's Wednesday, ladies. And tomorrow I will be reading the Ode to Newfoundland's words. I'd love to be able to sing it. I just don't have the voice or the breath for it anymore. But to give you a preview, I better get a little sip of coffee in there. It's cold out here and I want those vocal cords warm. When sun rays crown thy pine-clad hills, and summer spreads her hand. Yeah, it's an absolutely beautiful anthem. And definitely deserves to be remembered. In any case, folks, rise and rise again until lambs become lions. Bye-bye.